In returning to this Socinian temper, Newman got at a fundamental feature of the American Episcopal Church. And I quote, "A trading country is the habitat of Socinianism. Not to the poor, the forlorn, the dejected, the afflicted can the Unitarian doctrine be alluring, but to those who are rich and have need of nothing, and know that they are miserable and blind and naked. To such men, Unitarianism, so-called, is just fitted, suited to their needs, fulfilling their anticipations of religion, counterpart to their inward temper and their modes of viewing things. Those who have nothing of this world to rely upon need a firm hold of the next. They need a deep religion. They are as if stripped of the body while here, as if in the unseen state between death and judgment. And they are even now, in one sense, what they shall be. So they need to view God such as they then will view him. They endure, or rather they eagerly desire, the bare vision of him stripped of disguise, as they are stripped of disguises too. They desire to know that he is eternal, since they feel that they are mortal." Notwithstanding Newman's deep sympathy with the immigrants whose material wants would soon transform America, he also recognized that the typical Episcopalian obviously did not suffer these wants, and he asked himself how the comparative and the peculiar type of wealth enjoyed by the Episcopalian influenced his religion. The Episcopalian tended to be a self-made tradesman, with none of the responsibilities of the landed gentry. And this, as Newman recognized, colored his religion. He has rank without tangible responsibilities. He has made himself what he is and becomes self-dependent. He has labored hard or gone through anxieties, and indulgence is his reward. In many cases, he has had little leisure for cultivation of mind. Accordingly, luxury and splendor will be his beau ideal of refinement. If he thinks of religion at all, he will not glide from being a great man to become a little one. He bargains for some or other compensation to his self-importance, some little power of judging or managing, some small permission to have his own way. Newman's conclusion was withering. A religion which neither irritates their reason nor interferes with their comfort will be all in all in such a society. Severity, whether of creed or precept, high mysteries, corrective practices, subjection of whatever kind, whether to a doctrine or to a priest, will be offensive to them. They want only so much religion as will satisfy their natural perception of the propriety of being religious. Reason teaches them that utter disregard of their Maker is unbecoming, and they determine to be religious not from love and fear, but from good sense. No better description of nominal Christianity has ever been penned. What is also striking about the passage is that for Catholics in the 21st century, it captures the ethos not only of Protestant, but Catholic Christianity. While it is true that Americans' immigrants were mostly poor Catholics who had no difficulty recognizing that they were blind and miserable and naked, their descendants put poverty behind them, and many of them now are indistinguishable from their erstwhile Episcopalian betters. They too preen themselves on their private judgment and cleave to a worldly, self-congratulatory, nominal faith. One notably heroic American who had the God-given grace to differentiate the true faith from private judgment was Levi Silliman Ives, the only Episcopal bishop to convert to Catholicism, who visited Newman at the oratory for a week after he converted. Before converting, Ives was the Episcopalian Bishop of North Carolina. In 1852, he resigned his see and submitted to Pope Pius IX of Rome. In 1854, he returned to the United States with his wife, where he became a professor of St. Joseph's Seminary and St. John's College, Fordham. Like Newman, Ives was converted by the Church Fathers. In his spiritual autobiography, The Trials of a Mind and Its Progress to Catholicism, he shows how the Fathers disabused him of the Protestant fallacy, that there was something called the primitive church, different from the Catholic Church. Ives brilliantly brought the witness of the Fathers to bear to reaffirm the early Church's subscription not only to transubstantiation and baptismal regeneration, but papal primacy. In short, he concluded, the first 5 centuries taught as distinctly as did the Fathers of the Council of Trent the various dogmas set forth by the Council as necessary to the faith and practice of the Christian man. Still another Newmanian aspect about Ives was his respect for the unprevaricating voice of conscience. In his autobiography, Ives recounts how, before finally converting, he actually tried remaining where he was, in effect following Pusey and Keeble's example. This is a quote, I'd actually flattered myself into the belief that my doubts had left me, and that I could henceforth act with a quiet conscience on Protestant ground. But I found myself fearfully deceived, found that what I had taken for permanent relief of mind was only momentary. When I came again to myself, I was visited with reflections which no man need envy. The concessions I made in good faith for the peace of the Church, and as I had falsely supposed, for my own peace, rose up before me as so many concessions, and cowardly ones too, and this he italicizes, to the God of this world. Here was an affirmation of the primacy of conscience, formed as Newman recognized must be formed by the authority of the one true fold. In speaking of the competition that the Episcopal Church faced from other denominations, Newman could not but acknowledge that the Church of Rome, by means of its numerous and well-conducted schools and colleges, is daily acquiring a more powerful hold upon the public mind. Antebellum America might have welcomed every conceivable species of dissident Protestantism, but it also saw the rise of a robust Catholicism, which could boast the allegiance of more than Europe's struggling immigrants. Disaffected Episcopalians, Methodists, even Transcendentalists made their way to what Jeremiah called its ancient paths. Orestes Brownson, who was a well-known 19th century American, was just one of these Transcendentalists who finally found his way to the Church. The contribution that Newman himself would make to these numerous and well-conducted schools and colleges would be immense, based as it was on the educational principles that he first articulated in his idea of a university, and put into practice in the Catholic University in Dublin, of which he was rector from 1851 to 1858. That influence has always had to contend with precisely the forces of errant private judgment that Newman warned against so prophetically in 1839. Nevertheless, Newman's principles guide the authentic Catholic university now more than ever. As Newman affirmed in his sermon preached in the University Church in Dublin in 1856, a great university is a great power and can do great things. But unless it be something more than human, it is but foolishness and vanity. It is really dead, though it seems to live, unless it be grafted upon the true vine. Corroboration for Newman's influence on American Catholicism can be found in an article Evelyn Waugh wrote for Life magazine in 1949. Waugh was never an uncritical observer of the United States. To his friend Graham Greene, he once wrote, "Of course the Americans are cowards. They are almost all the descendants of wretches who deserted their legitimate monarchs for fear of military service."